Uh, we didn't really talk too much about the UZDoom split.
Oh
But I
yeah,
think that's
sorry, we didn't know.
probably
We can get in. Yeah, so we can definitely talk some of that. What's going on with that? Like, is the project healthy now? Like, what's actually?
yeah. Yeah, so one of the counterintuitive things is I think the split had actually an indication that the project was in a super healthy state.
Mm,
So I had mentioned that in about 2016 we were about six official developers.
mm,
Uh, and then you mentioned there was that drama that went on about the with
mm,
Lilith mod.
mm.
Uh, Now, I think that drama is one of those where nobody really knew the whole truth
Right.
going
Okay.
in. So, as an outsider, you're going to see like, oh, he disappeared, and uh, he probably just rage quit, like because he has had Graph has done that in the past, and I think it was 2010.
Mhm.
He did a rage quit and actually deleted the entire GZDoom website. Uh, And fortunately, we had backup, so we were able to recover all that, and then he came back to the project. Um, so yeah, there was definitely some concern, even internally, that something similar was going on, where he just decided to quit. But it actually turned out that he just basically went on a small vacation, and a lot of people find that statement kind of weird because it's like, wouldn't he, as a project leader, tell everybody else that, oh, I'm going on vacation? But
Mm.
if we refer back to the part where I was like, oh, yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot of coordination going on, like, why would you tell when
Aha.
you've never had to mention this before? Uh, yeah, so,
Yeah, and then
uh,
considering that, like, like you were saying that, and then also the fact that he seemed like the kind of person who kind of just did stuff and didn't really want to tell people what was going, even with like development of the
yeah,
project. So if it's something in his own life, I could see him be even like less interested to tell anyone.
yeah, yeah, so like, yeah, there's a kernel of truth that went on around that. I mean, he definitely was salty about that, but I think everybody on the ZDoom team was a little bit salty about that particular pick, just from a general standpoint of like I mentioned, ZDoom tries to maintain mod backward compatibility, and while there's a certain faction of people that kind of refuse to believe that for some reason. Uh, and so when you have this mod that's like delivery exploiting bugs, it's like, oh, this sort of kind of goes against uh, the uh, notion that like, yeah, you should be able to take a mod from any previous version of ZDoom and run it on the latest one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so me personally, I was a little disappointed in that pick just from like the that uh, so yeah, the community does that award ceremony every year on Doom's birthday, which is December 10th,
Mm-hmm.
and they pick the like top 10 mods of the year. And Wilf is a well-liked mod, so I mean, in that sense, I can see why it was picked. But on another hand, I kind of feel like it was a bad pick just from a if somebody's new to the community, they're gonna come in and go like, "What's the top mods that I should try out?" And well, here's the list, and now you got this one that only runs on this one specific engine.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of unfortunate in my view, uh, but
Mm-hmm.
that's neither here nor there. I mean, pretty much every year there's a little. I mean, like any award ceremony where you have to pick the best of some, there's always going to be someone that's like, oh,
Right,
I
right,
would have
right.
picked something else. So, uh, I mean, yeah, Graph was a bit more animated and probably should have been, but I don't really necessarily see him being salty about it necessarily unusual in any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact that he did disappear right after that when people were egging him on and all that, yeah, uh, uh, yeah, so I said we did sort of run through the scenario like, what if he doesn't come back? And so, like I said, there was six of us. If he left, that would leave down five. One of them was myself, and at that point, I was pretty much shifting focus to EC Wolf, and didn't have as much time as I used to. So, I mean, I could have taken over the project, I suppose, but it probably wouldn't have been ideal. The other main developer, DP Judas, I don't remember his real name off the top of my head, probably would have been the best pick. The problem was, I believe, and I'm sorry if I got my memory wrong, but I believe he said that he wasn't interested. So that kind of rules that out. And then the remaining three members were two of them focused on like specific areas of the engine, and is that all of them?
Oh, you good?
Just trying to think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The remaining two members, revised that. One of them focused specifically on the Mac OS port. And then the other one was a generalist. However, she has had issues with being in leadership positions in the past. So I think anybody in the community would would understand what I'm saying when I'm like, yeah, probably not the ideal outcome. So it was one of those where it's like people say that, like, oh, this split should have happened earlier, but it was one of those things where it's really only within the last couple of years that the project has got strong enough where there were people that were covering enough of the code base, had enough time, and yeah, just a general sense of where to take the project, that I don't think it really could have happened too much earlier, like maybe a couple years at best. And that's when Graph was pretty much absent from the project anyways, and they were leading it. So in that sense, it's pretty much a clean handover. So far, I have not seen a Graph surface since the split. And the project has been dormant since then. He hasn't made any official announcement that it's dead, but I imagine it's going to be again like the Skull Tag and Zandronum situation, where it was basically a clean turnover. We just have to use a different name because, yeah, the one person who essentially owns the name said that they want to keep it.
Right. So it's effectively like whilst Graph was gone, the project was being built up, and they were effectively running it anyway. So I guess when something came along, whoever's involved in running it kind of was just like, this is as good a time to do so as any. Like I'm sure,
Yeah.
if you've talked about a number of issues here, I'm sure other people who've worked with them probably had issues, and it was kind of like, we wanted to do so at some point, but we just couldn't. And now is basically, we have the ability to do so. So let's go and do it.
It's more of a straw that broke the camel's back situation. As I was saying, on the public perception versus internally, nobody internally like hates Graph.
Sure.
He's a very talented programmer. Like I said, the fact that the project has been able to grow with as many contributors as it has means that obviously he's very open. It just, there's certain behaviors that over time just add up as being kind of grating. And yeah, so that one got to the point where the project sort of moved in one direction, and then Graph was still treating it as if it was going down the direction that he knows.
Kind of like this big team built up around it, but he was still treating it like his own personal project.
Yeah, and yeah, at that point, it's like, yeah, either the reader can recognize, like Randy did, and go like, yeah, obviously this is no longer my project, and move on. or you can tell them to get a new name and fork the project, which is what he ultimately chose.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. On one hand, it's like easy to look at the drama and go, "Oh man, this project looks unhealthy." But it's like, yeah, the only reason it could happen is because the project is healthier than it's ever been.
Right. Okay.